All right, welcome back. So just 30 seconds ago, I decided to split the video by showing CDE and some of the HP's features. Let's go through SAM, and SAM is the configuration application for HP UX. Most Unix workstations had text-based management, but IBM gave the option, SGI gave the option for you to have a more user-friendly approach to configuration. Yeah. So first option here is accounts for users and groups. Basically, if you are hosting a lot of services in your workstation, or people are using your workstation remotely via serial console or remotely, or using your workstation processing power to crunch text and numbers, they can log in remotely, right? And you can create users for them and for applications, right? So this is where you would do this. You can also manage your groups. You have the classic Unix groups here and plus whatever you created. Going up, auditing and security. These hardcore Unix systems all come with a lot of auditing options. AIX, no stranger to that. So if you go to audited events, you can convert the system to a trusted system, and it's going to, for example, hide I think the passwords now are plain text, yes, so you could hide it away. Yeah. So this is so old school that I have all the passwords in plain text, probably in the password file, yeah. And I'm not gonna do this, and I'm not gonna show you my password file. So this is something I'm gonna look into at some other point. Without the audit running, I get none of this, yeah. Let's see if I get authenticated command. So some account management here. Password file is good. Session management, no errors. Okay. User authentication. Okay. I have no idea. Let's go back up. System policies, not converting, thank you. Backup and recovery. Here you can schedule backups. So what you would do, for example, I could backup, for example, to a tape, yeah, if I had a tape drive. But also I have NFS, so I could do a remote backup device. Yeah. Or no, it has to be a tape, but it could be a remote tape, yeah. So since Unix everything is a file, the remote system tape device is a file, you just stream the data there and it gets stored. Yeah, you can schedule this here. Interactive backup and recovery. Let's see. You set up, yeah. Again, it's a backup setup system. Yeah, it's probably very basic compared to the more advanced products in the market. But if you have a small lab and you're running a bunch of workstations, like in the 90s, early 90s or so, if you had a research lab with 20 people working in Unix workstations, you probably had a full-time system admin for these 20 users managing everything, right? It was a very common scene, and the person would then manage using these tools. Disks and file systems. So if I go to disk devices, again, I have two physical hard drives. This one is in use. The second one is my Linux installation, and I have the CD drive. The Linux installation is unmounted, right? I could, yeah, no information available, but I could go here, more info, right? I can see the partitions, see the device file. So you see, I have It's different from Linux. As you can see, it's dev disk C0T5D0, so that's the SCSI address, SCSI ID. Bug. Okay. Do I really have to click OK all the time? I could run Enterprise Administrator, and I'm quite surprised it comes with it. And this is like a very crappy user interface. Everything is healthy. I've never seen this before. All right. File systems. You have all the mounted file systems and their directories. Yeah, so this is how it looks like. Here I can add a file system. So for example, I can do an auto mounter like I have for my NAS. Yeah, I can disable the auto mounter. I can add more local file systems and so on. Logical volumes will manage my logical volumes. This is quite logical. Right, so I have a list of all my volumes again, mount points, and so on. Swap. It's going to probably show the status of my swap partition. And yeah, it is here, 4 gigs. It's enabled, but I can add more swap if I want. You can see the partition details. I can see I don't use anything. I have 8 gigs of RAM, and I'm probably using what? Yeah, I have 7 gigs of free memory, yeah. And I'm actually only using 200 megs, 134 megs. So no, I don't need swap. Volume groups, let's see. I think I can create like RAID arrays, like software RAID arrays. I could, yeah, manage not hot pairs and so on, right? I think this system does RAID on this SCSI controller. I'm not sure. Display. Here you can configure your monitor, which I failed miserably to use digitally. Yeah, it detects it as a flat panel, but DVI doesn't work. Right? I could describe it. I can also identify. So with blank, modify the monitor type. You see, I can change the resolution here. You can see the detailed timing information if I wish. Can do some gamma corrections. Not going to do that. Can check the Excel configuration. So you see I have 2 ports on the FireGL and they are listed separately. Although I don't think you can have different user sessions or even use through multi-monitor. It's gonna just make a single canvas. Yeah, it's called a single logical screen. I tried to see if I could use 2 users using a graphical terminal locally and I didn't manage, yeah. Well, you can change the serve options. You see what gets loaded when it starts. Turn the screen off to save energy and so on. Server configuration. Oh, we just saw that. Kernel configuration. So in kernel configuration, have these configurable parameters, right? So if you want to fine-tune the system, you can do it here. And it's interesting because I think you can run HP rexing up to 64 CPUs. So of course you get a lot of parameters based on what you're gonna use, right? If you're running a database server, a file server, web server, whatever, your bank, right? So this It's very tunable like every single hardcore Unix system, and you can use it based on your need, yeah. So you can create templates, so I could possibly save this and then go back in case the performance was not the best, yeah. Drivers. So here's where I was during my second last video to enable the audio card. I had to install the driver for it, right? So there are the dependencies for the audio card. And this is everything I have loaded. I don't have what the chart drive is. But as you can see, it reminds me a lot of the old Windows NT4 and 351 services window. You can really unload modules that you're not using. Although I know these are services and not kernel modules, but well, this is what you have. Yeah, you can see the driver details here. I can add a new driver to the kernel and so on. I think dump device is a swap, but don't quote me on that. In subsystems, so I think these are kernel level drivers. So probably at the CD, NFS, and so on. Yeah, this is what it looks to me. All right, networking and communications. Bootable devices. So you can do remote boot. I've done this with this computer, right? So you can make this server for booting, right? This could be your DHCP server, right? And basically you could spin up multiple HP workstations or servers from here, right? By hosting the system and settings here. So you basically can very easily reconfigure a whole server farm from the single device, yeah? Think of whatever crap we do in AWS these days, right? That we change the image type and configuration options and a bunch of Linux servers gets reconfigured. This is how hardcore Unix does it. Yeah, I could run a DNS server here as well, right? If I wanted. So if I wanted to have the system up 24/7, which I don't because it's a collectible and of course no security patches, right? This could be my server for everything. It could be DNS resolver, it could be my DHCP server and so on. So if you have a NIS server somewhere or NIS services, these are the sources, right? I never managed to get the NIS server running. I'm curious to see how this would work, especially because I wish to have single sign-on for my Unix machines, but well, I don't have time for this now, but could configure this here. My network cards, I have only one. It's configured here, right? IP address is on DHCP. You can tweak the parameters here. Network services. So here are the services that are enabled and possible. So I can do boot P. It could be a boot P server. I could enable the public FTP. So like macOS has up to this day, they have a public folder. People can copy files to you or read files from there. That's it, yeah. NFS client, NFS server. So I can mount file systems from here, right? This is all here. I can see the details. So let's see if I could see NFS client details. Or no. NFS. So I can see the systems I'm exporting. So no IPv6, but I'm not exporting any folder. But if I go to the remote file systems, I can see here, I'm gonna see the share that I mounted, yeah. And it works fine in NFS v3. So NIS, again, I'm never going to turn this into an NIS server, but not configured. I could set a domain name, right, and pick a server. Tables and groups, there will be nothing. And you see, in the early 2000s, already supporting IPv6. Could look at the roots as well. So I have only one. System access, internet services, yes. So I think this would... So what services are coming from the internet daemon, yeah? So I think security. I can basically allow or disallow this service, but I don't know if this is some sort of, firewall-like behavior, because I'm afraid, for example, I will disable whatever, the shell or logging, and I don't, no, not logging, but I don't know. Yeah, this is confusing. I'm not sure if I would be blocking a service locally as well with this, yeah, so I'm not going to touch it without careful study. Remote logins, right? So here, if I would have people logged in remotely, right, I could set it here and I would see when someone is connected. Virtual LAN, so basically I can have a different VLANs in the system. I have VLANs, they are segmented, but of course I am not, the system not managing the network, right? But I could, if I would configure this as a router, I could have different VLANs, or I could have one interface, the only interface that I have connected to two VLANs, right? This is an option too. Next, partition manager, it does what it says it does, yeah? You can manage your partitions. It's a web interface thing, and I don't... Is it root? Yeah, it's root. So this is Mozilla what? 1.7.13. Oh, I'm not gonna get into this. Performance monitors. So here I can see the disk activity, inter-process communication. See the process is using more CPU, and that's just top. And just a snapshot of it. No, it's not. There's some Java running. I don't know where from. Maybe Sam is Java. System activity, yeah. So here, is it doing anything? Can leave it on the side. I can't leave it on the side. So, goodbye. System properties. So here I have machine ID, serial number. So 4 is 2 CPU with 2 cores, so quad core CPU type, 1 gigahertz. I have 8 gigs of RAM, right? And my swap option running HPU X1111, 64-bit kernel. This is my network information that I need to cover up. And I could auto refresh this. Okay. Virtual memory activity. So we have these processes here on the, I don't even know. Right. Peripheral devices. Cards. Cards will show you all the cards connected. So this I showed you in my last video. The audio card showed up here. And then you have Ethernet, of course, the GPU, serial ports, and so on. You could add a card, right? And I'm not gonna add this discharge drive, but It's possible I could diagnose a missing card, right? It was very helpful. I managed to set up my sound card only by using the local help. And I can see the cards and devices. Can't. Let's try view web. Let's do it. A patch to install. I will look it up. If again here I can see my system settings. What are the tools? I could come here on my LAN, right? And I can see cooling. Let's see what it's gonna say. Yeah, fans are running fine. So basically remote management, classic remote management. The Intel Station 285, the IBM Power 5 had it much nicer. It was a separate card. It was a beautiful, beautiful card. I think it ran Linux. It was really cool. I never documented that one properly and I regret it. Yeah, you get slots occupied or not. Let's see what else here. Memory utilization. Process information. Is it going to populate it? Maybe not. What are the tasks? Could launch an X application remotely, and that's very insecure and funny. This is so funny. Let's see. If your client console a PC, you need to have, wow, I could run a remote application here. It would launch it via X. That's so insecure and so crazy. Device list. So basically my cards plus some logical devices. Disks and file systems. We've been through this. Monitor for printers and plotters. Can I add a printer? Jets Direct. Okay, I'm sure they're not going to support PostScript out of the box, but I'm sure there'll be a driver somewhere. See if I can go to help. No. Yeah. Well, no printer for me. Tape drives I don't have. Terminals and modems. So I have I could add the terminal on a serial port, for example, right? So you could be 6 people sitting in a room here and 2 of them would have serial terminals connected, right? To the serial port and use the workstation, right? Could do the same. I could add a serial modem and then dial in. Something I intend to do eventually to be able to troubleshoot my network in case I have problems with internet, right? But not now. I could add the serial port UPS here. Yeah, I don't have one. It would come here. Process management, process control. Nice priority of running processes. I can queue a process, change the nice priority. Yes, so if you are running some simulation, or again, if you are dividing the system with 20 other people, imagine late 90s, late 80s, early 90s, you would need to do this kind of thing. Here you can easily manage cron jobs. I usually do it using a text editor, but here you could easily add, again, for non-technical people, which is hilarious, but they tried. Resource management, event monitoring service. Yeah, I could monitor whatever service here. Routine tasks, backup and recovery. Okay, this we already seen. I could configure a backup here. Selective file removal. You can look for large files that have not been used in a while to save disk space, yeah. Yeah, so here you quickly, wow, that was fast. Maybe it's a database somewhere. So you get a list of large files and you can list them here. Although 250,000 bytes is not really large. System log files, so here I can I look at the file? Yeah, view. Yeah, so events. Yeah, so you have a quick, at a glance view of all the log files in the system. Data probably recognized by the system as log files. Yeah, if you have an application that logs stuff somewhere else, the system's probably not gonna know. Yeah, add to list. So I'll need to add a log file manually here for a new application if I wanted to, yeah. But this is cool again. Unix is all about manipulating text in applications that do only one thing at a time. So this is what you get to manage everything. System shutdown. You can shut the system down. I usually do shutdown. I can run some remotely. Software management. So here is something that I will go through later, and sorry about that. When I try to install a few things missing, such as PostScript support, but I could install software locally or remotely. I can view installed software. So if you look here, you see that I have a quite complete system. Yeah, so I have some open source tools, but I have the C compiler. Like I have SoftBench. Right, I have the GNOME GTK library, so that's how, for example, Firefox runs. Yeah, I have the audio clients. I don't know. This conference software is something that I intend to try eventually. Right, I'm only showing you the software that is that was available in Application Manager, but I have many more things that we can go through eventually, right? For example, Thunderbird, yeah. And that's managed here. Time. Yeah, I could be broadcasting NTP, but I have a remote NTP server set. And I can look at the system clock. And there we have it, folks. This is Sam for HPUX. That's a quick overview, again, half-hour video. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you next time. Let's see now if I'm going to do OpenGL demos or, I don't know, the other software installed. See you.